Devontae Adams.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take it. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Xavier. Yeah. Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports. Getting a lot of feedback. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. Thanks for joining in with us this morning. We are so excited to be kicking off the week as Alabama football coming off a big spring practice. Alabama basketball coming off a big win. Do you feel better about the Crimson Tide today than you did when we left the airwaves on Friday? Glad to have you with us, so that you, without a doubt, can excuse me. When we look at it, you look at what Alabama was able to do on Saturday. What a game! What a win! How big is that for the Tide? Was kind of surprised that national pundits even saying that Alabama, with a good showing in the tournament, has a chance to even get back on the one line. They love this Alabama basketball team from a national standpoint. Of course, I saw the troll master Danny Cannell saying the SEC is overrated and tried to quote Ken Palm, because Ken Palm said that the SEC may be overrated. Do you think the SEC is overrated? Or did they just beat each other up? We can talk about all of those things. We'll add Kennedy Smith III to the conversation, and he'll be breaking some things down for us. We'll get his thoughts. We'll have some audio from Kane Womack and what he was able to, what he's been able to see so far early in spring. So we'll break that down as well. We want to invite you in on the conversation. 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. 9904. That's the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions Hotline. Glad to have you with us this morning. So call us at 205-342-9904. Also, I want to invite you to put your thoughts, your comments, and your reactions in on the chat. On Facebook.com, The Martin Houston Show. Let us hear from you there as well. And remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, man?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. Lots to get to. Alabama with a big win, as we just talked about. Of course, we got some audio from Kane Womack as well. And we'll be adding Kennington to the conversation. But real quick, and we even got a couple callers already wanting to jump in. But real quick, what's your initial thoughts before we get to Allen?
Yeah, I mean, Alabama had a huge win this weekend against Auburn in the Iron Bowl. When you look at kind of how Alabama had been down, what could they do to fix it? How could they fix it? And who needed to step up? And we saw that, Mark Sears hit the game winner, but he didn't have a great game overall. But Grant Nelson finally came back to the forefront. Huge dunk, tone setter early in the game, and then just solid play throughout. It was a really good overall team win down at Neville Arena.
Yeah, big time win. When I said it, and I'll get Kennington's thought. When I said it, you guys were saying it was Stevenson, and I was saying it, not you necessarily, but people were saying it was Stevenson, and I said it's Grant. I think Grant is way underachieving, and when this team gets that Grant Nelson, they're going to be a hard out. And maybe his confidence is back. He took a couple bad threes, but I'd rather see him taking a couple bad threes when I see him not hesitant to pull that trigger, because for some reason all of a sudden he has decided that he's a dunk master. And if he gets that three going, it's going to lead to a lot more of those dominating dunks or plays at the rim, the old-fashioned version of the three-pointer. So kudos to Alabama, Nate Oates, and the team. Won in a lot of areas. We'll say some of that conversation to Kennington. But let's get to Allen. Allen, you're in with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind?
Good morning. Nelson, Alabama play. If Nelson gets hot again, Bama would definitely be a Final Four contender. And I don't care what nobody says. That was obvious taunting. I mean, I'm glad he did it, but what nobody says, that should have been a technical foul. But I'm glad we didn't get one, because that was obvious. That was taunting, right? What he did, that was.
What you talking about, Allen?
Hey, the Eagle, that was taunting, and I was so glad to see him do it. I mean, I'm just glad the referees, like they said, the referees couldn't really, even though if they knew what it was, you couldn't say one way or another what it was, because he didn't, you just couldn't say one way or another. I mean, everybody knew what it was. I mean, I got Alabama fans on the website saying, well, Alabama fans do it all the time. I mean, Alabama players do it all the time. They don't do it when they're not playing Auburn. So obvious it's something against Auburn. So, I'm just glad we did it. We won the game, and I like the way we got it right now. We're putting three guards on the court, and nobody's standing around watching Sears. When they stand around watching Sears, we cannot win. Everybody, you've got to be moving. The guards got to move. I mean, once them guards started moving, you got a lot of moving parts. Auburn couldn't stop us.
Yep, and there. Go ahead, X.
I loved it. It definitely could have been called, but they did call it. So I don't know what you're talking about, Alan. The way that game went was what you expect out of a rivalry game, and the fact that we were able to close it out down the stretch, was kind of concerning with some of the things that we've seen over the last couple weeks against the Tennessee game. But Alabama was able to continue to fight and come out on top. So great job by the Crimson Tide.
Yep. You got anything else, Alan?
Yeah, and Danny Cannell really, does he even have a platform anymore? Does anybody listen to that idiot? Or is he just trying to make himself relevant again?
The last part of what you said, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. All right, y'all have a good one.
All right. Yeah, and we'll ask Kennington about the 3-guard rotation X. The teams that win the championships in basketball and NCAA basketball always have good guard play down the stretch. So we'll get with him there. A couple other things we'll get to, but let's go ahead and get Pat on this side before we bring Kenneth in. Pat, you're in on the Empowerment Strategy Solutions Hotline. What's on your mind?
Man, it's a good thing that we went on to win that game after that that was the Crane from what do you call that show? The
Karate Kid.
The Karate Kid Crane. That wouldn't have nothing to do with a war eagle. Bless their heart. Looked more like a war chicken to me. Looked more like a war chicken to me. Hey, man, I hope you got my text. I sent you a text that, hey, Grant Nelson's playing had everything to do with Martin Houston dogging him out all week long. He finally woke up, man.
He did.
Wow, what a game. That was perhaps the best basketball game I think I've ever seen. Would you two not agree?
Thanks.
It was exciting.
It was a good one. It ended up, Pat, at one point though, I the 2 points going down for Bama at the end makes it a candidate. If we had lost that game, I'd probably be dogging them again. But kudos to this coaching staff and this team for finding a way to win. If you were going to end on this 7-game win streak, it probably ended about as good as it could have ended based on what had happened with Alabama winning, at Auburn ending their 2-game slide and giving Auburn a 2-game slide going into the playoffs. Do I think that impacts Auburn's play? Possibly, but I've said all year that I'll take Nate Oates in tournament coaching over Bruce Pearl. So it'll be interesting to see. Auburn's got an issue, and we'll talk with Kennington about it. He can't get out of his own way. Baker Mazzaro, he just can't get out of his own way, and we appreciate him.
Yeah, I mean he elbowed him not once but twice at the same time. Is what it looked like to me. Either that was a camera malfunction. It looked like to me he elbowed him 2 times. Yeah,
he did, but I had a problem. The officials let Auburn beat us up pretty good, and when we touched Auburn, I thought the officiating was allowed Auburn to play a more physical game and did not allow Alabama to reciprocate. So we'll talk more about that as well. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you. Have a blessed day. Bye.
Have a blessed one. All right. Coming back on the other side, we'll add Kennedy Smith III to the conversation. Glad to have him on with us. Remember, you can get in on it on the Empowerment Strategy and Solutions Hotline. We speak, we coach, we train, we assess behavior. We'd love to have you be a part of the program. 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good morning to you. Getting off to a pretty productive start on the roadways right now. We're looking at construction work on 2059 on the westbound lanes, just past Joe Malisham Parkway. You're starting to tap on those brakes there. Also, Skyland Boulevard, the usual happenings in both directions at the 2059 entrance. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
This report is sponsored by True Green. We're back in the miller's yard, who now use True Green.
Their lawn started looking like a golf course, and PGA Tour golfers made it their favorite stuff.
Get a PGA Tour quality lawn for as little as $1 a day at TrueGreen.com. Exclusions apply. See TrueGreen.com for details.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Hey, Bama fans, this is quarterback Jalen Milroe for my friends at Tuscaloosa Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram. Before you shop anywhere else for a Dodge Ram truck, a Jeep, a Dodge Challenger, or a Dodge Charger, shop local. An amazing selection of new and pre-owned vehicles are on the lot now. Go see for yourself at 550 Skyland Boulevard East in Tuscaloosa, or you can shop online at TuscaloosaCDJR.com. At Tuscaloosa Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, you pick it out and we'll work it out. Roll Tide.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. HIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They've moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com, or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Any lingering showers ending early this morning. The sky clearing this afternoon. The high today 66. For tonight, clear with the low at 41. Very nice weather tomorrow and Wednesday. Sunny both days. The high tomorrow 72. The high Wednesday 75. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 50 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back in to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. And hey, we got the only player to have three wins over the AP #1 ever. Mark,
the game wasn't meaningful as far as SEC regular season championship results or any of that, but it looked to me like they were trying to get the win. They brought their best guys. They didn't sit Denver. Broom was obviously playing well, kind of killed us. 34-8, hit some big shots. So, we went against them on their senior night, and I think we showed what we're capable of being moving forward. So, couldn't be more proud of the group of guys. Nobody in the country has gone anything close to the 7-game stretch we had to close the year. To come up with a win against #1 team on your own floor, happens to be our rival to close it out. After the adversity we faced, we could have easily folded. We had the tough loss at Tennessee. Florida game, we didn't look great, bounce back and come in here like we did, and things didn't go perfect. I mean, shoot, the points off turnovers was 20-10 now. We had 15 turnovers, we got to do a better job on some things, but just kind of challenge these guys. Let's be the hardest playing team, toughest team, most together no matter what happens. Things won't be perfect. Let's just stick together and keep playing hard, and thought that's what they did. I mean,
all right, that's Coach Nate Oates giving his thoughts after Alabama's big win over the Auburn Tigers. We bring in Kennington Smith III into the conversation. X, I'll toss it back to you.
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
I can't complain. So Bama got the big win, stops the two-game skid, and puts it into what ended up being a really rough final 7-game stretch with the win over the Auburn Tigers in Auburn. What kind of your thoughts on the game? Grant Nelson play stepping up after kind of having a down month or so.
Yeah, I think that's really kind of the story for me is that, in a game where Janai Broom had a career-high 34, Grant Nelson was right there with him and was arguably the best player on the floor on Saturday. And I like that there was an intentionality with Oates and the coaching staff of getting him involved really early, getting him aggressive, getting his confidence up, just getting him involved in the game. Alabama got off to a way better start in this game than they did when they were down 9-0 against Auburn when they came to Tuscaloosa. So I like the plan to get Grant Nelson involved early. And the fact of the matter is, this is the Grant Nelson that Alabama needs if they're going to make a deep tournament run. This is the type of player that he was last March that kind of propelled Alabama to that point. And, hopefully he can, take this performance and kind of carry it over into the postseason. But I think Grant Nelson was the story. First 20-point game in a month. He's been, really struggling as of late. But if this is a game that can kind of, get him back on the right track, then Alabama's, ceiling is obviously much higher when he's playing well.
Yeah, definitely. When you look at kind of, as I stated, Mark had the game winner, but didn't have a great game. How important was it for Grant to step up and be that first option? We have other guys that make plays and make shots, but the actual importance of Grant having this type of game going into the tournament.
Yeah, he was pretty much the offense for most of the game. Him, Amori, took advantage of his opportunities, but, Phylon came on late. But besides that, Youngblood, 4 for 10, only had 9 steals, obviously, single digits. Aiden Holloway, only 2 for 5 from the floor, so he struggled. The guard play wasn't at its normal level. Alabama's, usual high scorers weren't contributing, so Grant Nelson kind of pacing the offense throughout the game until Phylon started to come on late is really what kept Alabama in it. So huge moment for Grant to have this type of performance at Auburn. And again, this is what they're going to need for him moving forward. It'll be really interesting to see what happens in the next game because, as we know with Grant, he'll score 23 one game and then he'll score 7 in the next game. So can he, find some sort of consistency in the postseason is going to be a huge storyline moving forward.
Kennington, I'll ask you and Xavier this. We say Mark didn't have a good game. We say the guard play. They didn't take a lot of shots. I think that they had a great game. This is Martin. This is the player in me. Basketball is a team game. And Auburn came in and said, we're going to do the same thing we did to you guys in Tuscaloosa. We're not going to let Mark get the ball off. We're not going to let him get a shot. Well, here we were still trying to force it. There, we took what they gave us. There is no Grant Nelson. There is no Big O. There is no Aiden Sherrell. If Mark them don't make those passes or don't. So I think that the game plan that Auburn thought they could beat Alabama if Mark and Aiden and the guards didn't have a lot of points. And to me, the one time in the game Grant disappeared in was when Fallon and Mark and the other guys got a few shots off because Auburn for one moment changed a little bit. And that's when Alabama went on actually pulled away a little bit. That's my assessment. I know he didn't have a statistical game, but to me, Mark Sears played as well as he could play, considering that what Auburn's game plan was going to be. No turnovers, big time assists, big finds at the right moment. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, and I mean that's a good point. I think when you're talking about the guard play, I think I kind of lean more towards just like this. The shooting wasn't there. You know, Fallon 1 for 5, Youngblood 1 for 3, Sears 1 for 4, Holloway 1 for 3 behind the 3-point line. Especially Sears. I mean, he's been averaging almost 38 games over the last 5-6. So you take those numbers, and then he only has 9 against Auburn. Just the shooting wise wasn't what to the same level of production that has been over the last maybe 2 weeks or so. So I do think that's a good point, and it was brought that up that Auburn had the game plan of kind of taking Sears out of the game, but his his ability to be able to just kind of scheme something up in that last moment where Sears was able to find some space and get off. That was obviously the biggest shot of the game, one of the biggest shots of the season across college basketball. So, they did do things in other ways to kind of keep Alabama in it, but. I feel like it was really like about the front court in this game. Aiden Sherrill also, I feel like we have to give him some love too. He's been awesome over the last couple of weeks, and his elevated play has helped his front court out too. So really, really big game for Alabama's front court, and all those guys are going to have to continue to play at this high level going into the SEC tournament.
Yeah,
I agree with that. They didn't hit the shot, but that was the game plan for Auburn, and to see us be able to have okay, this is what they're going to do to stop us. We're going to feed the bigs, and the bigs answered, and I think that's the thing that we have been missing when the guards were struggling. The bigs didn't come to play like they did this past Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, add up all of those shots, and that was Mark's. When you add up all the guards together, that was Mark's shot selection himself against Auburn here, right? About 4 for 15 or whatever it was. It was just crazy. But to me, the takeaway for me, Kennington, is you just beat the number 1 team on their home court, and they took away your best weapon. They took away your best weapon. They took away your style of winning, your preferred style of winning. Auburn did everything except for get the W. If you're looking at what you want to do to beat Alabama, and Alabama got the win on the road, that has to bode well for Alabama. You hope moving forward, Kennington.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you just think about the resolve of this team, the losses that they've had in the last stretch, and the type of situation that they were coming into. I mean, Auburn had already locked up the regular season, but like Nato said, Auburn wanted to win this game. And they could have sat Denver Jones ahead of the SEC tournament. He played. Everybody was full tilt. They played the full complement of guys, as many minutes as they could to win the game, and Alabama went out and won. Off of those, 2 disappointing losses in a row. So, this team, you have to feel like their confidence is at a high. You have to feel like they're feeling really together right now, because not many people were expecting them to go in there and win that game. I mean, when Alabama lost on senior night, I can't tell you how many tweets I saw from fans that were like, "Well, we lost 5 of 7 to go down, to end the regular season." Like, it was already counted that this game was going to be an L, and then they go out and have a really, really impressive win. So you're absolutely right. It does bode well for them, and you kind of think to yourself, like, is this the start of what could be a really strong SEC tournament run? Like, now you feel differently about Alabama, potentially winning the SEC tournament and maybe sneaking back onto the 1 line.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me that the pundits did not. They were pretty much saying if Alabama goes out and take care of business, don't be surprised to see them back at the number one line, which I was surprised by that a little bit, but the way they won, I think, means that the player of the year, top candidate for player of the year, had 34 points. You can say what you want. He was willing his team to win. Big threes in overtime. I mean, it's just, and Alabama got away in a place that Auburn hasn't lost at home, but a couple times, this year and only a handful of times in recent years. So, like I said, as much as they try to say Auburn didn't want to win, I think that's an excuse now. It was good to see the Tide go in. Don't want to go too high, just like you don't want to go too low after the Tennessee-Florida loss. I think we were kind of low, and now we don't want to go too high. But if you wanted the season to end a certain way, considering the last 7 games, I do not think the last 7 games could have ended any better based on the prior 6 games than it did Saturday for the Alabama Crimson Tide. X, let's get out of here.
We're going to get the break. When we come back on the other side, we'll hit some spring ball practice call. Then I had a couple big practices to end the week heading into spring break. We'll continue that conversation on the other side.
Would you mind if I touched, if I kissed, if I held you tight?
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good morning to you. Getting off to a pretty productive start on the roadways right now. We're looking at construction work on 2059 on the westbound lanes, just past Joe Malisham Parkway. You're starting to tap on those brakes there. Also, Skyland Boulevard, the usual happenings in both directions at the 2059 entrance. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Hi, this is Gene Poole. And this is John Poole. At Hudson Poole Fine Jewelers, we believe in celebrating life's special moments in elegance and style.
Whether you're searching for the perfect engagement ring or meaningful anniversary gift,
a beautiful birthday present, or just because surprise.
At Hudson Poole Fine Jewelers, we have exceptional pieces to mark your special occasion.
Visit Hudson Poole Fine Jewelers, downtown Tuscaloosa, or at hudsonpoole.com.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Spring is here, and it's time to tackle those big projects. Whether it's spring cleaning, a new roof, remodeling, or new construction, Been There, Dump That has the perfect dumpster for you. They're locally owned and operated, offering residential-friendly dumpsters in multiple sizes to fit your needs. And this March, save $25 on any size during their spring sale. Call 205-764-4553 today, and let's get your project rolling. That's 205-764-4553. Been There, Dump That. The dumpster rental service that's built for you.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go unrealized. Call North River Timber Company today. Email them at northrivertimberco@gmail.com or call 205-242-5127.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Dixie Battery Supply takes care of all of your battery needs. Find the commercial batteries you're after and never feel powerless again. Come check out our Northport and Tuscaloosa locations or call us at 205-758-9190. And once again, power up all your devices by using Dixie Battery Supply, DixieBatterySupply.com. They offer reconditioned batteries starting at $39.99, and you'll find all the batteries you need. And don't forget to ask us about our golf cart. That's DixieBatterySupply.com.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
But you got 7 guys that could have entered the draft to come back. Just how big is that?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably, obviously we've great job by our staff in recruiting in the 25 class. But really, you talk about those older guys that made the decision to come back. I think that's, the best recruiting job of all. I think it also speaks to players believing in a culture, believing in what we're doing moving forward and what we're able to accomplish. Even when things didn't go as well at times last season, right? And certainly, there was more for us to be able to give. I think the players see the vision, the older guys in particular see the vision of where we're headed. And so awesome kind of stamp of approval on those guys. And then it just sets the tone for all these younger players. I mean, nowadays you would sign somebody in February and you'd have to wait till the summertime to get them here. You sign them and then they're here, and so they're able to kind of draw upon the experience of these older players, and that part's really helpful.
What do you see him? All right, that's Coach Womack talking about getting 7 guys back that could have gone to the NFL draft last year, and that's a stamp of approval for this program. Before we get into that conversation and whether or not a Kalen DeBoer staff team will be led by defense. Kenneth, I got a question I want to ask you real quick regarding basketball. One closeout question, then I'll toss it back to X and you guys. But Kenneth, based on what you saw this last week, is it potential that Florida is the best team in the SEC? Because I kind of felt that a little bit, even though Auburn had the best season. Is this Florida team potentially the top of the heap?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just the way that they've been playing down the stretch, and the thing with Florida is they'll drop a game that they're not supposed to, but you think about what they've done down the stretch, 19-point win over Texas A&M, then they come back, beat Bama, then they blow out Ole Miss. They've been really hot. They can win in a lot of different ways. I was really impressed with their performance in Tuscaloosa on senior night. I thought, watching them, I was like, wow, this is a team that I think can win the national championship. So they've responded well from the Georgia loss. They think he's peaking at the right time, and that will be an interesting matchup with Alabama in the semifinals on Saturday. Should both of those teams make it?
Yeah. X.
All right, switching over to football. So we heard that Kalen Womack talking about getting the 7 guys back that could have gone into the draft, and might be a little wrong off the top of my head, but yeah, Tim King and LT Overton, Damani Jackson, Keon Sass, Deontay Lawson, and 2 more guys that he had in mind. That are Justin Jefferson, and I can't think of who the 7th guy is.
Jamarian Latham. Jamarian, I guess.
When you look at that, Kennington, how important is it for this team? Because you had a bunch of young guys that played last year that have experience now, whether those guys have been true freshmen or redshirt freshmen. You may now with the guys that should have been pros. How important is that to what this team is trying to do this year?
Yeah, huge. I mean, that player retention has become one of the biggest data points of whether we gauge teams on, if they're going to be playoff contenders or not. Like with Ohio State, that was the biggest thing, was the fact that they were able to retain so many players from the year before and have a lot of experience. Same thing with Michigan. They had really strong player retention. It led to a championship. So Alabama's doing the same thing. They only had 3 true juniors into the NFL draft, which is a low number. So that's a huge part of it. And then with, coming into the spring with that experience level, it just kind of allows for Alabama to operate a little bit differently. Like last year, they were playing a lot of guys, out of just necessity because of how young the team was. This year, if we hear about young guys, maybe popping or playing well, it's a result of them being able to kind of stand out amongst experienced players. So this just feels like the team's in a little bit of a different spot in terms of personnel and the experience level this year to last year. And I think that's going to bode well for the future.
Yeah, and when you hear him talk, and then of course he talked about the young guys getting an opportunity to be there in the spring. I know from clips, from practice, and things of that nature, there's 2 guys on the defensive side of the ball that names continue to pop, and you hear a lot about it. And of course, that freshman edge rusher Justin Hill and freshman cornerback DeJohn Lee. Those are the 2 big names that have been making their way through the first 3 practices and heading into spring practice. Do you think, when you look at those positions, is there a real opportunity for those guys to get on the field early?
Probably. I feel better about DeJohn Lee just because we saw that Kane Warmick does not have a problem rotating a lot of defensive backs if they meet a certain standard of play. So I feel like there might be an opportunity for him there. Cornerback's pretty set, though. When Damani is healthy, you feel like they have a good top 3. But I feel like that's a little bit more likely. With that rusher, you're going to have Jamarian Latham.
Since you're new to H&R.
It's going to be pretty tough, I think, for Justin Hill to find himself on the field defensively. But I wouldn't rule it out. But I would say DeJohn Lee probably has a little bit better of an opportunity just because we've seen it with that cornerback position last year.
Yeah, when you look at it, there was a couple of statements he made about DeJohn Lee, and he also talked about Cam Calhoun. Let's hear what he said about Cam Calhoun, because I think that's the unanticipated, guy that jumps into the rotation. This is what Coach Womack had to say about him in his latest.
And we're not anywhere where we need to be yet.
Speaking of cornerbacks, what are you seeing from Cam Calhoun so far?
Really like Cam. He has a maturity about him. You can tell, this dude's been a seasoned player at a place that, has established itself as one of the great defenses year in and year out at Utah. So, it's not an easy task to get on the field with that program. And he was, and it was a starter. And so it was awesome to be able to gain that experience from him. But he's got a little, he's from Cincinnati. Cincinnati guys, if you've ever recruited that area, they got a little something to him, you know what I mean? And so he plays with a good energy, plays with a mindset of attacking the ball and brings some juice to our group. We're a relatively quiet secondary for the most part, so it's kind of nice to have another guy out there that's plays up in people's face.
Reaction, guys.
Yeah, when I said that you feel good about Alabama's top 3, that's, Cam Calhoun was in that mix. This is somebody who at Utah was 4th in the Big 12 last year in pass breakup. I mean, he was a really good player. You go back and watch that Iowa State game. That was probably his best game of the year. Iowa State has 2 NFL guys at receiver who are going through the draft process now, and Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, and he played really well in that game. So he's somebody who's coming in, and he's going to have an impact. You think about that 3rd cornerback spot last few years. Jalen Mbakwe and Deshaun Jones both played a lot of snaps on defense last year. Trey Amos was obviously a big cornerback 3 in 2023. So that's a role that, in the last couple of years, we've seen that they've had to come in and play kind of starter level snaps. So Kevin Calhoun coming in and shoring up that position was a huge addition. And I think him, Damani Jackson, Xavier Brown are a strong three. And then if Dijon Lee can continue to progress, then you feel much better about the cornerback position going into this season than you did a year ago when it was much younger.
Yeah, I think when watching Cam play at Utah last year, guy's a playmaker. He likes to be around the ball, and you get from the experience aspect, being a redshirt sophomore. But man, these DBs now are long, they're athletic, and I think it bodes really well for the way that Kane Womack likes to play defense.
Yeah, before we get to break, Kennington, two things. One is I want you to answer a question, then I'm going to set up a question on the other side. One quick question is I kind of teased a little bit when we were coming in. The identity of this Alabama team right now, with the consistency coming back from the coaching staff, the consistency of having 7 starters coming back, like 7 legit starters, and guys, more than that, guys who played high level. And is this going to be a team whose identity rests on that defense? Because down the stretch, when you go back and look at it, I think this defense got better and better. So is it going to be weird to see a potentially the board team that's led by defense?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about it. It's like I was thinking about, this team ahead of spring, and it's like, who would have thought that a Kalen DeBoer-led team would have all the questions on the offensive side of the ball in regards to his team, right?
Right.
You're right about the defensive identity, and I think the thing is, last year towards the end of the season, defense was the team identity when they were going on that stretch of 5-6 games in a row. They were forcing 3 turnovers per game. That was kind of the calling card of the team, and the offense was a little bit more of a question mark. So I think Alabama's defense on paper has the potential to be an elite defense. Now, obviously, they're going to have to show that, because last year, in the midst of all that we talked about, they started to come on. They were forcing turnovers. They still had some, disappointing efforts towards the end of the year, like the Oklahoma game, run defense specifically. So we'll see what this defense actually puts out onto the field. But it does feel like this is going to be one of the best defenses in college football, and is going to be, pretty deep at all 3 levels.
Yeah, I want you to be thinking on this. Both of you guys be ready for when we come back from break. Got a little audio from Coach Womack regarding the defensive line and interior and all of that. But Alabama made a big move on the defensive line, which would hurt depth. I say defensive line, the bandit position. Young man dropping weight, seems to be maybe finding a new home in his 6th year. We'll talk about that more on the other side.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Monday edition of The Game, every Monday, presented by DanielMooreArt.com with that special code word. We'll talk about it. We'll have a chance to go good, bad, and ugly. We'll recap the Alabama and Auburn game. We'll do that with Drew DeArmond. We'll talk to Martin Houston, and we'll take your phone calls, your reaction, all starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We are starting to slow down just a skosh on the area. Freeways and side streets right now are actually mostly on those freeways. Now you're looking at 2059 on the westbound lanes, hovering around Joe Malisham inside that construction zone, just tapping on the brakes briefly, nothing severe. Also, Skyland Boulevards is its usual on and off the brakes between 2059 and McFarland. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast.
best. Townsend Nissan has new 2025 Sentras for only $21,990, full of safety equipment, and the #1 selling SUV, the 2025 Rogue, starting at only $29,990.
Freshen up your morning with Wendy's breakfast, like a breakfast Baconator, or a grilled sausage breakfast burrito, or even a honey buddy. Ready for a fresh wake-up call? Gotta be Wendy's. At participating U.S. Wendy's.
Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. They've been doing it the right way each and every day for 50 years and counting. If you're looking for a great option for lunch and or dinner, then you need to check out Taco Casa. Taco Casa, and while you're there, don't forget to get a big glass of that sweet tea. Visit them online at tacocasa.com. That's tacocasa.com. Quality, taste, and value on the biggest cactus in town. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com.
The venue has outdone itself again for all of its families. Introducing Southern Comfort Food Company, coming straight into your family's kitchen. It's all of the famous entree classics frozen and ready to heat and serve. Lasagna, poppy seed chicken, green bean casserole, I can't list them all. Stop by and pick up your favorite or do a catering order for your office lunch or gathering. Located across from Sokol Park, the venue houses the brand new Southern Comfort Food Company. It also houses Finney's Pub, Ramajamas, Liza Sweet Shop and Pizzeria, and you can learn more at venuetuscaloosa.com.
Visit the pharmacy at Midtown. That's the pharmacy at midtown.com. TJ and his team are looking for the opportunity to provide you with great services, including compounding, home delivery, and a whole lot more. You're looking for a great pharmacy that'll take care of all of your needs, including wellness classes, including health and more. That's the pharmacy at Midtown. Call them at 205-579-9933. You're looking for a great pharmacy. You need to try the pharmacy at Midtown. That's the pharmacy at Midtown, pharmacy at midtown.com.
Lowe's knows that your deadlines don't change, even when your job does. But with Lowe's Buy Online, Pick Up in Store, we'll help you adjust on the fly. And when you absolutely can't leave the project, we can deliver to your job site as soon as same day. Lowe's knows pros. We help, you save. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All righty. Welcome back in to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Here's a little audio right here. Get your guys' thoughts on it.
I think you saw some guys that started taking steps in the bowl game against Michigan. I thought, certainly, obviously, James Smith had a great game and is going to take a more central role for us moving forward. But guys, this spring that I'm noticing out there, Edric Hill's doing a really good job. Jeremiah Beeman's doing a really good job, and so we're going to have ask some of those younger players to step up in a major role this year, and so it's going to be a tough challenge for them.
Do you feel like you have? With that audio, you would think that, and there's another clip where he had said something about depth in the interior is always a challenge, Kennington and Xavier, but they made the choice to move Jamarian Latham from the bandit position to the wolf position, had him drop, 13, 14, 15 pounds, somewhere in that range, get down in that 260 range to play linebacker. So what does that communicate about their belief in the young guys, and what do you think about Latham and his potential in that position, in that role as a 6-year player?
Yeah, I think in some ways it's kind of like the whole robbing Peter to pay Paul thing. It's like you have some depth concerns at one spot, but you also have them at another. So it's like, you bring in Kelby Collins. Hopefully that kind of solidifies the defensive line a little bit. You move Latham out to Wolf because they need help at that position. I mean, Quay Russaw showed some good things. Pass rushing though was limited last year. Maybe he takes a step forward this year. But Latham can, maybe come in, they can maybe be a 1-2 punch at that position, and then you just kind of hope that you can plug some holes on the defensive line. So it's in an interesting spot. I thought it was a position that they would have pursued in the transfer portal in the winter. I think that that's still on the radar for spring. So that's kind of my assessment of that move, and maybe trying to kind of plug, two different holes, both at linebacker and at defensive line.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when you look at it. But, you talk about some of those guys. You also mentioned Steve Mumba, the JUCO transfer in to add depth on the defensive line. It kind of frees you up a little bit while you're expecting Beeman and Hill to step up. And when you look, you had Rusall, and then it was a bunch of guys that haven't played yet. Either being redshirt freshmen or true freshmen coming in that this year. So Latham dropping the weight, adds a little bit more on the pass rush side, but you still believe that maybe another guy can come in a passing situation where you need him to drop as well.
Kennington, respond to this audio and see if this is also one of the reasons they kind of have that hybrid with Latham, but here's a guy that they're trying to create some depth with as well.
Over till it's over down there.
How would you assess the bandit position and just how Kelby fits into that group of returners?
Well, Kelby's doing both for us, so he's playing inside and outside, which is a lot to ask for a guy coming in new. But like some things that I see from him, he's growing and learning into the position, learning the defense, even fundamentally how we do things versus maybe where he was before. You see some differences there, but obviously from an overall position standpoint, I mean, LT Overton, Jordan Renaud, Keon Keeley's doing some really good things right now. So I'm excited about that unit.
That was Coach talking about the bandit position, and they got a couple guys playing in and out. What are your thoughts right there?
Yeah, bandit position I think is in a good spot. I mean, LT Overton, from what I understand, has been playing really well and taking a step forward. And then I thought it was interesting that he brought up Jordan Renaud and Keon Keeley as guys who are taking steps forward. I think that gives confidence that you can move Latham out, is that you're going to have some pretty decent depth there. And I'll be interested in seeing what Kelly Collins' role is. He's kind of like an LC Overton archetype, highly rated guy, goes somewhere else besides Bama, transfers back in. You feel like now is the opportunity for him to be a good player. So I think that's a position of strength, and then we'll see what happens with the interior. That's going to be one of the highlights this spring, I think.
All right, tell them where they can find you, Kennington.
Yeah, on X at skinnykenny_theathletic.com or The Athletic, however you get your mobile apps, searching my name or anything related to Alabama football.
All right, closing thought, X.
All right, great win for Bama this weekend in basketball. Spring practice kicks off. We're going to take a week off for spring break, but excited to see what the football team has coming in as well as the basketball team entering the tournament.
All right, hey, at skinnykenny_ is where you can find him. I'm sure you have some great articles and things coming this week. Spring break, you need some good reading material. Then you need to follow at skinnykenny_ Kennington Smith III of The Athletic. Search Athletic, go to athletic.com, Kennington Smith III. We'll have DC Capstone report to the conversation on tomorrow. We'll keep some of this same conversation rolling. We'll get his thoughts. We'd love to get your thoughts. I'm Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston. That's Kennington Smith III. That's Case Brumfield pressing all the right buttons. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not in your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide, everybody.
It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone
Thank you for listening to The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9